Hey guys, welcome back to Fire Emblem Heroes. It's almost Halloween, so that means Halloween heroes. The four alternates are Mia, Kagero, Niles, and Myrrh. A pretty interesting selection of heroes. Let's go through their kit and see if they are worth the orbs. Starting things off, we have Myrrh, our first red armor dragon, so that means we can almost make a full armor dragon team now. We're just missing a colorless one. Myrrh has an amazing min-max stat line. HP and defense are decently high. Her attack is tied for second highest in the game along with Shersh, Brave Ephraim, Soleil, and Valentine's Hector to name a few. Base 40 defense is also tied for second alongside Valentine's Hector. It's just one below Arden, but Arden doesn't have IV, so technically Myrrh has the potential to have the highest defense among all characters. Speed is where the min-max point comes into play. 23 speed is not the lowest ever, but it's still low nonetheless. The lower it is, the better, especially considering the fact that armored units love to run Bolt Fighter. In Myrrh's case, she doesn't even need to run Bolt Fighter for guaranteed follow-up attacks because take a look at her unique weapon. Her weapon is Spirit Breath. It grants 3 defense passively, which bumps her defense up to 43 or 46 with a defense boon. If she initiates combat and her defense is equal or greater than the foe's by 5, then she can make a guaranteed double attack. Then of course the same old adaptive damage effect. Yeah, really good weapon for her and it complements her stat line very well. With her weapon equipped, she has the highest defense in the game, so it's quite easy for her to meet these conditions. Let's use neutral stats. She'll have 40 defense, right? There's only 4 heroes in the game that break the effect naturally, which are Arden, Draug, Valentine's Hector, and Brave Hector. But I mean, there's many ways to increase her defense, so it's not a problem. Great thing about this weapon is that it opens up her B slot. Again, she doesn't have to run Bolt Fighter, now she has the option to run Vengeful Fighter for guaranteed doubles on both phases, or a more defensive approach with Special Fighter. Overall, it's a very awesome, unique weapon. The only new skill that she has is Defense Res 2, which grants 2 defense and resistance passively. Spoilers, it's trash. The other skills in her kit are Bonfire, Vengeful Fighter, and Armor March, which are pretty much perfect skills for her. Spooky Myrrh comes out of the box as our first Red Dragon Manakete, and she certainly doesn't disappoint. She has 179 BST with the potential to be bumped up to 180 and has an excellent min-max stat line. If you're a huge arena player and maybe a whale as well, then Halloween Myrrh is the perfect hero for you. For boons, you want to look for plus attack or plus defense. An attack boon is a super boon that bumps her up to 180 BST into the next BST bin. Defense boon obviously helps her meet her weapon's condition a lot more easier. Speed is also a super boon and is actually worth looking into as well. I think there's a lot of potential for cheesy builds with a speed boon. For Banes, speed is the obvious one for traditional builds. HP would be the best Bane if you opt to go for a speed boon. Neutral IVs isn't that bad either. For rating, I'm rating her 5 out of 5 as a unit. Can't really go wrong with her, she's a complete powerhouse. For fodder, I'm giving her a 4 out of 5. Vengeful Fighter and Armor March are really good skills and may be essential pieces for completing armor builds. Next is Niles, who is our first blue bow armor unit. Look at that man's speed. Wow, so fast, so quick, so swift. He's the fastest armor unit in the game now. 4 higher than Lin and 5 higher than Tiki, and his attack is decent as well. 34 attack isn't anything too special, I think it's the norm for range armor units. Lin only has 31, Henry 33, Tharja 34, and Jacob 35. Really high speed does mean fighter skills lose a bit of value, but that doesn't take away his combat effectiveness. He actually fits pretty well in the arena support meta. Anything related to supporting he can do, whether it be wind sweep poking, smoking, other forms of debuffing, combat buffing, and etc. He's kind of what you would expect from any bow unit. Good offenses with low physical block and decent resistance. His stats are just a little bit more inflated compared to an infantry bow unit because he's armored. New bow is Devilish Bow. Now this is a pretty cool bow. It inflicts a special cooldown charge -1 on foe per attack. It's basically a bow with a guard skill. So as you already know, a lot of units in Arena run around with Steady Breath, Warding Breath, and Vengeful Fighter. Those skills grant the unit an additional special charge every time they are attacked. Their builds are usually built to activate their special in a timely manner, right? With that said, if you reduce their charge by 1 per attack with Devilish Bow, you can mess up the foe's special timing and that can make the difference between surviving and dying. The other way to utilize it is by using it on poking builds that run Water Sweep or Wind Sweep, which is what I would prefer doing considering that the arena meta is all about supporting your bonus units. With a sweep skill, the unit can chip enemies down and debuff them to allow your bonus units to secure the kill. New B skill is Attack Speed Link. I love this combination. I prefer having attack and speed together and defense and resistance together rather than attack defense or speed and resistance or something like that. It just makes sense because attack and speed is pure offense while defense and resistance is pure defense. There are situations where speed and defense or other combinations are more ideal, but in general, I think the pure offensive and defensive combos are beneficial for more unit builds. There's really no specific unit that can use this skill better than others. Most units can use it as long as they have an open B slot. The other skills that he has are Smite, Swift Sparrow, and Fortified Armor, nothing too crazy. So Niles, new archetype, first of its kind with solid stats. I always think there's great incentive to pull for units that have unique archetypes. Other than that, for an armor unit, he's kind of underwhelming on the defensive side, but he's got good offensive game, and he can be quite versatile when it comes down to builds. He can be pure offense, full support, or a mix between both. Best boons are going to be attack or defense. The reason for attack is obvious. Defense is a super boon that pushes him to 165 BST and will allow him to take more counter hits. I'm on the fence on speed. I think a speed super boon is fine at 0 merge. At plus 10 merge, speed is kind of overkill in my opinion, and higher speed doesn't do anything versus a team of armored units. Plus speed might only be optimal when more speedy armors are released in the future. As for Banes, best Bane is HP for sure. For unit rating, I'm rating him 4 out of 5. He's not bad offensively or as a support. He can run the traditional DPS builds. However, the problem is that Bolt Fighter is such a powerful skill that most armors should run it if they're going for a player face offensive set. Niles can run Bolt Fighter, but he wouldn't be optimizing his speed if he were to do so. Halloween Jacob is just leagues ahead of Niles from an offensive standpoint. Fodder rating, I'm giving him 4 out of 5 as well. Devilish Bow can be used as a great support weapon for other bow units, and Attack Speed Link provides great buffs for player face offensive allies. Up next is Kagero. She's a green dagger armored unit, the first of its kind. Her stat line has a trend similar to Myrrh's in most armors, very high attack with low speed. Her bulk isn't amazing, but it's decent. Physical bulk is about average when compared with other range armors. It's slightly less than Darja and Jacob, but way higher than Lyn and Henry. Same thing with her magical bulk as well. She has a perfect stat line to run Bullfighter, and lo and behold, she has it by default. I think she can be quite versatile when it comes on to builds because she's a dagger unit. You can give her Cloud or Sky Mayugi and she can turn into quite an effective anti-meta killer. I also think defensive builds can work on her as well considering her balanced bulk. Just to spark ideas, maybe Rogue Dagger, Close Counter, Bolt Fighter, and Quick Approach or something like that. Anyways, her weapon is Bottled Juice. It's the same as Niles' bow but in dagger form, except that it retains the traditional dagger debuffing effect. Just because of that, I think this weapon will see more use than the bow. Someone like Dancer Alencia can use it really well. Combine Bottled Juice with attack and speed smoke and she can debuff all 4 stats. She can also dance so she can become the ultimate support. She has one new skill which is Even Attack Wave, obviously a good skill because it's the counterpart to Odd Attack Wave. I always mention this but I'm just going to mention it again. I think Odd Wave is better for player phase units while Even is better for enemy phase units. However, Even Attack Wave might be okay for player phase range units since they don't have to go in too deep in order to player phase on the second turn unlike melee units. The rest of her skills are Draconic Aura, Mirror Strike, and Bolt Fighter. Draconic Aura and Bolt Fighter are solid. Mirror Strike is kind of weird though. I'm assuming that if you have Kagero on your team that you're probably going to go against a lot of armored foes. Mage armors aren't that common and the extra resistance doesn't even help versus armored dragons because they have adaptive damage. So Kagero, just like Myrrh and Niles, has a unique archetype, so again, that's one great incentive to pull for her. Everything about her is solid. I don't really see any real negatives about her besides the obvious like lower physical bulk than most armors and low speed, but the speed is patched up from the fact that she has Bolt Fighter by default. I guess as solid as she is, the green armor pool is quite quote-unquote saturated. There's a lot of great green armor units available compared to the other colors, so that kind of takes away some value from her. For boons, I will look for plus attack or defense. A boon in attack grants 6 additional damage with Bolt Fighter. Defense to allow her to tank counter hits better when initiating combat. Her best bane is speed, that's her most disposable stat. For unit rating, I'm giving her a 5 out of 5. She has very high attack, good bulk for a ranged unit, has Bolt Fighter by default to patch up her weaknesses, and she has a unique class. Like I said, her being green does devalue her a little bit, but that shouldn't take away her combat prowess. Fodder rating is also a 5 out of 5. She has Bolt Fighter, Even Attack Wave, and more importantly, Bottled Juice. I really like her weapon. I think it has a lot of potential on other dagger units. Last hero of the banner is our first flying healer ever. It's no, I'm just kidding. It's Mia. Just because she's a flying staff unit already makes her really good. In addition to being able to heal allies, she has access to the guidance skills, so she brings a lot more utility to the table than other classes. But if you want to talk about stats, well, she has the second best offensive spread right below Veronica. You can argue all you want between Myrrh or Mia, but I prefer speed because it helps her both offensively and defensively. Mia's offenses is basically the only thing notable about her stat line. She does have 28 res, but that's actually below average when you compare it to the other staff units. Moving on to her weapon, Witchy Wand, it has a Yu-Gi-Oh text, so I'm just going to sum it up. Basically, when you attack a target, that target and foes 2 spaces of the target are inflicted with a guard skill effect, or the status, which is -1 special charge per attack. It's almost comparable to the dagger version. Dagger units are often used as a debuffing sweeper or used to deal chip damage. Dazzle Witchy Wand is basically the same thing. It deals chip damage and debuffs foes safely. However, being able to inflict the guard status to a target is kind of a big deal, right? The guard skill is a huge investment, whether it's in the form of a weapon or a B skill. If you have the staff on your team, then your allies don't have to run guard, instead you can just inflict the status on the foes. None of her other skills are new. She has Recover Plus, Heavenly Light, Speed Res Bond, and Home Flyers. If you're new and you have any questions about any of these older skills, then feel free to comment down below. Like I said in the beginning, Mia is a flying staff unit that brings a lot of utility to the table than other classes. On top of that, she has a great offensive spread. Almost as good as Veronica, but not quite. For boons, I will look for plus speed. 37 speed will allow her to be able to double more enemies, which equals more damage. It also prevents more doubles, so it increases her survivability. An attack boon is okay, but speed is preferred. For Banes, I think defense first, then HP second. If she's able to prevent doubles, then minus defense is actually better than HP. Both Banes take away 3 bulk, but minus defense maximizes her magical bulk. I'm giving her a 5 out of 5 for unit rating. I think she can be considered as the best staff unit in the game depending on the role. There's no question that Veronica is top notch offensively and brings tons of debuffing and buffing power. Mia, on the other hand, can make her whole team more mobile, and mobility is very important in this game. I think she's better than Veronica on mixed teams just because of that reason. Both units are amazing, but for 2 totally different reasons. For fodder, I'm giving her a 4. I think Witchy Wand is the only skill that stands out, but the effect is really good. Don't underestimate the guard effect. It's extremely potent in this heavy armor arena meta. Alright, so the question is, who is the best unit to go for in this banner? At number 1, I think Myrrh is the best unit out of this banner from a combat standpoint. Mia is nowhere near comparable offensively, but she's a damn good support, so I'm putting her and Myrrh at number 1. It really depends on your personal preference and what you need. I would personally go for Mia because armored units aren't really my thing. Anyways, at second is a tie between Kagero and Niles. Both are solid units. I would have put Kagero ahead of Niles, but because she's green, that kind of devalues her a little bit. This banner adds a lot of new class combinations to the pool of heroes with some great stat spreads and new weapons. Definitely a good banner to pull from, but keep in mind that this banner is out for a month, so don't unload all your orbs on day 1. Have some good orb management, guys. Spend your orbs wisely. And that's gonna be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give this video a like. I would highly appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Shuffle 寂しくて恋しくて